So today we're going to be doing a little tour of Fairfield and Gonzales, the neighborhood. We're going to look for all the open space or the parkland or anything that looks promising as open land in the neighborhood to see, sort of do an inventory and see what might be suitable land for a community garden. And we're going to be looking at a bunch of different features. What do you need for a community garden? Well, you need good access, parking, that kind of thing, exposure, open space, good drainage. You need surrounding vegetation that's not too overpowering. You need to see what other people are using the park for. So this is Pemberton Park, and I have no idea how long it's been here. It's got a little sort of woodland area back there with a little path through it. And it's also one of the off-leash parks. Now, the city designates certain parks as on or off-leash for dogs, and this park is extremely well used. Pretty much, I don't see any dogs here now. That's actually kind of unusual because people love to come and let their dogs run around off-leash. It's also got a playing field, a pretty good playing field, and a baseball diamond. And I know that the Little League, I know Beacon Hill Little League uses this diamond, and it's right across the street from Glen Lyon Norfolk School, which is over here. And the school, which is a middle and high school, they use this park extensively during the week for practices of all kinds. They also have an artificial turf field, which is behind the school, but they still use this a lot because they have very busy and active rugby and soccer programs at their school, and so this gets used a lot for that. In the distance over there, there's a little playground area, and there is a bathroom facility, and a bathroom facility is something that is really quite beneficial for to have near a community garden for obvious reasons. And I believe that this park is irrigated. Some of the parks in Fairfield are irrigated. They have an underground sprinkler system. Typically when you have a play surface like this, you know that the park is irrigated. And so having irrigation in is extremely, well, it's essential really, because we have very dry summers here and we need to do supplemental irrigation. Now, there is an area over by the playground that's kind of an open area. It's got some trees planted in there, some mature trees that we probably wouldn't want to see come down. I don't know if there's any oaks, but there's some pretty old trees, some pretty mature trees over there. So I'm not thinking of this as a great candidate simply because it is so heavily used for the purposes that we've just described, especially the playing field, the playground, and the off-leash dog area. But here it is. This is Pemberton Park in Fairfield. Park on the list is Hollywood Park, and I've been here many times because my son has played Little League here, and we've played in the playground, and there's also some tennis courts up at the top. This is in a really great sort of central part of Fairfield because Thrifty Foods and the mall, little plaza, is just over that way. And this park is big and multi-purpose and extremely well used, and I think you can probably hear that there are a bunch of kids playing soccer today. So the park has several sections. In this lower section down here, there is a baseball diamond. It doesn't look like a baseball diamond right now. It looks like a big, open, flat, beautiful piece of property that would be perfect for a community garden. Unfortunately, it's a seasonal t-ball field. I talked to the parks about this piece because I had been here a lot when they have a baseball diamond up, but apparently it's just something that they have up only during the season. There's obviously a playground here, and then the land kind of slopes up. Bathrooms, very important, always. Tennis courts. I think there are 2 courts up there, pretty well used. I use them quite a lot, and there's often a wait for them. And then we have the big baseball diamond up here, which is, well, obviously also used as a soccer pitch. And this baseball diamond is used a lot in the summertime. Even though there's a little doggy, a little Yorkie or something running around over there, I do not believe that this is an off-leash dog park. So lots of mature plantings around the edge. The park is, of course, irrigated. There's actually a little candy store, a little concession stand in the baseball diamond there. And they do a lot of baseball tryouts and events. They do picture day up here, and they have all kinds of other events for the Little League baseball. So Hollywood Park, it's a great park, it's a great location, very heavily used, multi-use park. Here's another large open space in Fairfield that falls within the boundaries of the Fairfield community, and unfortunately it's really in use for another purpose, which is that it is the cemetery. It's the Ross Bay Cemetery, I think it's called, isn't it? And I don't know what the oldest graves are in here, but there's certainly gravestones that go back to the 19th century. And it's a beautiful spot, actually. The ocean is right there. There's just a Dallas Road, and then on the other side is a little stony beach, and then there's the ocean. It's very tree. There's a lot of pine trees, of course, a lot of yews. It's a really well-used cemetery, and I don't mean by that they have a lot of dead people, although obviously they have plenty of dead people, but I see a lot of people coming here and sitting in the benches and being, contemplating and remembering the people that they loved, and you can see there's quite a lot of fresh flowers on the graves, and I'm sure some people feel that cemeteries really in some ways not the best use of public land, and but I don't think you can argue that this is a pretty beautiful and special spot. I think this is called Ebert's Park. I actually don't see a sign anywhere that says that it has a name, but it's a little sort of triangle wedge-shaped piece of property at the corner of Bushby and Ebert's Street in Fairfield. And it's a kind of a nice little green patch. I do not know whether it's off-leash dog park or not. There's a sign over here we can take a look at. Somebody's got a pretty thriving little vegetable garden happening. The neighbors here looks like they've got some caneberries growing on the fence, and they've certainly got some hoop houses, so we know there's at least one gardener in the neighborhood. There's a small playground over here. Pretty antiquated equipment. I don't think that this playground is going to be getting high marks for safety or fun, for that matter, but you never know. Not a lot of trees, not a lot of shade. Nice open space. Let's see, pick up after your dog. Please leash your dog. So this is not an off-leash dog park. This is a very small park. If you were to build a garden in this park, it would pretty much take up the whole footprint of the park. You'd have to keep it away. There's quite a few mature plane trees around the periphery here. And a lot of houses that would be that do face the park. Probably a couple dozen houses that actually face the park. In the distance you can see Moss Rock. That is another, again in the interest of being comprehensive, another bit of green space in Fairfield, but really not a suitable place for a garden. You might be able to herd goats on it or something, but pretty rocky and not garden worthy. So Ebert's Park, this little park is right smack dab in the middle of Fairfield. This is Chapman Park, really close to Cook Street, which is the main sort of shopping drag in Fairfield, and it's a really pretty small park. Now, somebody told us that at one time a group of people in the neighborhood had tried to create a community garden here, and that there was a lot of opposition from the neighbors. I don't know what that history is. I guess it's possible, but I don't know anything about it. It's a really small park. It's basically a little square of land. There's a playground that just got rehabbed down on the other side. It's not a dog park. There are no bathrooms. There's quite a few pretty mature trees. I think there's a fair amount of litter. There's not really a lot of open space under the trees. There's certainly parking, and it is close to Cook Street, which is nice because you can go up and get a coffee, which is what we just did, or a pizza, even better. But it's putting a garden in this space would really take up most of the space. I mean, you'd probably have to use that area over there, and there wouldn't be much left in the way of park. I know that the Parks Department told me that they put in irrigation when they renovated the little playground over there. So this is an irrigated park, but not a lot of space available. So this is Field, or Brook Park, sometimes called Brookfield Park by people. And this is a great space, in my opinion. It's at the corner of Kipling. There's Fairfield Road, which is the main artery, is just one block that way, and so you have buses going along there. There's quite a lot of parking. It's currently got 2 baseball diamonds and these movable goals. So it's used for soccer games and it's used for baseball, but not as extensively as Hollywood Park, I would say. It's not an off-leash park. I do see dogs congregating here, and their dog owners come here quite a lot, but it's often about this empty. I live right across the street over there, and so I see this park every day, and I have never seen it crowded, although I do see it get used. It's flat, it's open, it's accessible, it has great exposure. It's an interesting shape, and it's got a fairly good distance from the houses, especially on the other side of the street. So there would not be any, if for instance, if a garden or whatever uses of the park took place on the other side of the park over there, they're quite distant from the houses, so it's not really interfering with people's space too much. It's irrigated, as you can tell by this turf. It's got an underground sprinkler system, and it's really a nice spot. I would have to say that of all the spots that we have looked at today, I'm going to say that this one would seem to be the most ideal in terms of the exposure. The other great thing about it is it's right beside the school. The Sir James Douglas School is just 1 block in that direction. And so any school garden or any community garden should have a school component, should have an educational component. And this location is close enough to the school that would be possible. I think once you start to have a garden that's more than 2 or 3 blocks away, it's just too far, especially for the little kids, to go to on any kind of a regular basis. They could go for special visits, but in order to have an ongoing relationship with the school, you really need to have that proximity. So this is the last candidate, I think, that we're going to look at today. The last piece of open space. As we've seen, there's not a lot of open space in Fairfield. There are no vacant lots. There are no parking lots that are unused. There's the cemetery, but that's got plenty of traffic. And I think we've pretty much covered everything.